slap you ain't gonna do nothing. Because you weak. You don't fight. You think you hard. You're not hard. You're not that guy, buddy. You're not that guy. Shot all them guns, but you ain't gonna shoot nothing.
What makes you think that? What makes you think I'm not gonna shoot
You
that?
a sweet nigga. You a sweet nigga.
Who told you, your mama?
You a ladies man.
Cool it. Hello everyone, how are you? This is Camp Galena with Guns and Blammo. Today we're going to review the KEL TEC KSG. You guys may recognize this cool looking shotgun from games such as GTA 5, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and movies such as John Wick, which made this gun very popular. Now, with this, I gotta admit, out of all of the dozens and dozens of firearms that I own, this was my first I'm getting serious about guns gun. So it does have some sentimental value. And keep in mind, it is a KEL TEC. Okay, so for those of you in the gun community, you know very goddamn well that a KEL TEC is severely hit or miss. I own a bunch of KEL TEC guns. They're unique because they tend to do things that are out of the norm. And when you're just shooting an AR-15 all the time or an AK platform and it kind of gets boring, you want something that's unique and fun to play around with when you're at the range. And KEL TEC is like the master of that. However, with their guns, unfortunately, you either get the most horrific reviews or the most glowing reviews. Now, out of all of the KEL TECs I own, I've had 0 issues. 0. Outside of one, my PMR, which is a goddamn nightmare. It is just a train wreck of a handgun. The safety even fell off. I've tried aftermarket parts and so forth, but that's for another video. With that said, while I've had issues with what typically most people don't have issues with, this gun, most people have issues with. There's been a lot of feeding issues and so forth, but not for myself. For myself, this is run flawlessly. It is a bullpup, as you can be well aware here. You know, it's fed through the back of the gun, through 2 different chambers. It's 7 plus 7 and then 1 in the chamber. So you have the capabilities of holding 15 rounds within this firearm, right? If you're doing 2 3/4 shells of a 12 gauge shotgun. Now again, this is a 12 gauge shotgun. It is a pump action. It is 26.1 inches in total length, with a little extra added with the breacher barrel I got here. It is an 18.5-inch barrel. That is nuts. It's an 18.5-inch barrel in a bullpup shotgun. As we well know, the longer the barrel, the more accurate the gun can be. So depending upon what kind of shells that you're putting in here, birdshot, buckshot, or slugs, you might actually be able to have some distance with a shotgun. I've watched some videos, actually, a guy was plugging shit from 100 yards away. Now keep in mind, it's a shotgun. The way this is designed and being a bullpup is not for long distance shooting, obviously. So 100 yards is pretty impressive. The philosophy of use of this is strictly home defense or self-defense in general. You're not going to hunt with this gun. That's not what this is. This is a tactical pump action shotgun. It is a very efficient one. I put mini shells through this and I was able to do 20 plus rounds with everything running flawlessly. There was no adjustments that I need to make or anything that I need to change in the weapons platform to make sure that I'm running mini shells. So the philosophy of use is strictly home defense. Now, when you get to that home defense, and that's a whole nother video in and of itself, but a shotgun is, I mean, in terms of stopping power, is the #1 option that you should be using, right? We all understand that. But if you have kids, or if you're not keeping your gun necessarily in the safest place or whatever it may be, just to have it readily available, you'd have to load 15 shots into this gun every single night and keep them there and or unload them. There's no mags. You can't just grab something and throw it in. And you're completely subject to what would be inevitably those 12 shots. You're not going to survive if you have to be in a gunfight and you got to go past those 12 shells, because reloading this, there's no quad loading. There's nothing you can do fun with a Benelli M2 or any kind of competition gun. You are very, very slowly loading this gun up, shell by shell. And you have those two different chambers, which then you have to switch and know which one you're on. Now, I've heard some people say that their favorite part about this gun is the fact that it has two chambers. So you could put buckshot or slugs in one chamber and birdshot in another. However, being a person who's never been in a gunfight, but just, you know, larps about it in his head on a daily basis with all the guns that I own, I can't imagine, even when I'm at the range and I'm shooting this gun, I forget that I have another chamber and I have to go ahead and switch it. Now, it's not that hard. If you look here at the bottom, you have a lever. So if you see here, it's a lever that switches from chamber to chamber, right? When you're in the midst of shooting, I'm talking about just at the range. It's difficult to remember to switch the chamber. You become aware of it when you can't shoot anymore. Then you switch the chamber. So the thought of putting buckshot and slugs in one and buckshot or whatever it may be in the other, just birdshot, is, in my guesstimation, unless you were a truly fine-tuned animal on gunfighting, it's probably not going to be relevant. I would put the same shots in there, and in this case, not be birdshot. This is a tactical shotgun that is designed for home self-defense, and CQB because of the short package, even though it's an 18.5-inch barrel. So, with that, I would probably just kick it with some buckshot in this. And if you're going to go to the range and have fun, yeah, have fun with it. And that's the other part. KEL TEC makes stuff that is really fun. Now, if you're an advanced shooter, the problem that you have with a gun like this is the fact that it's a pump action. So to get consistent rounds off with pumping the gun, I mean, you still have that time where I shoot and you go. That is going to slow you down. Now, I do dabble in competition shooting and I've become a bit of a speed and trigger snob in this case. So with that, I prefer a finely tuned mag-fed shotgun like the KEL-12 from Dissident Arms, or a Benelli M2, anything that is super quick and you don't have to worry about pumping the gun. Now, that being said, if you're looking for a range fun tool and just standard home defense, this is much more cost effective than those options that I just mentioned. And it's fun. Doing this is a whole lot of fun. Now, you wouldn't do this on the balcony of your home, even though Joe Biden says this is the primary way to scare people.
Fire to blast outside the house. Buy a shotgun.
Is buy a shotgun. No. It's a very, very fun gun. It could be very effective for home defense. It does need some upgrades. It comes very bland. If I were to tell you what are the primary upgrades you need to do with this, it's really simple. There's some horrific videos out there of somebody shooting their finger off because they didn't have a hand stop. If you notice, I not only have a foregrip, but I got a hand stop on this gun. Foregrip, hand stop. My finger fits perfectly in there, so I'm not going to shoot my hand off. Also, given the pump action and target acquisition, iron sights are fun, and this actually is a pretty fun iron sight gun, but a red dot is needed. It truly is. A red dot, when you pump this, it's got some kick. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6", 250 pounds. So I tend not to feel recoil, but I tend to notice when recoil impacts my target sight. So with an iron sight, you're always constantly readjusting, and with the lack of speed on a pump action, a red dot for quick target acquisition is really going to be needed. I put some new furniture on this. It came with nothing. Put your standard M-Bus, Magpul, backup iron sights on here. We have an EOTech, which the donut of death. I'm a huge fan of just EOTech in general. It's the older model, but it fits for a shotgun like this, and that's where I suggest when you have a shotgun, you do not want to put a pistol red dot on this, because the moment you pump and you shoot, you're right back out of your target acquisition. You need a broader, clear field of view, which a holographic red dot will give you. So I'm a big fan of this. You can look at other things like a sight mark that might be more cost effective, or hollow suns, which frankly the rep that they get is ridiculous. They're fantastic optics, and they actually have a longer battery life. In fact, hollow sun actually makes the majority of the casings for the red dots and optics out there. At least they used to. So whatever you want to put on there. I put an EOTech on here just because I wanted this to get beat up a little bit. Now, I'm a bigger fan of pressure pads, but if we have a pump action, there's no point in having a pressure pad for your light. If you're talking home defense, you absolutely need a weapon light, right? You need to know who you're shooting at. Unfortunately, though, with a pump action, it's not as if I have a pressure pad that I can put my finger on to make sure that I'm, I'd rather have the ability to put the light on, put the light off based upon the target acquisition. In that case, you do need a light. It's a home defense gun. The light that we chose here is the Surefire XH35. Now, everybody argues on this, but oh God, what is the terminology I'm missing here? The pulsating light. It's a bit more hypnotic and it can, keep your perpetrators at bay. I like that if I'm going to have it on a shotgun. I want complete and total disorientation. I want to blind anybody with the light and or keep them confused, because if I have a pump action, it's not going to be bam, 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 bam. It's going to be bam, pump, bam, pump, bam, pump. So with that, you absolutely need a weapon light. Now, I had some fun with this. This is a cool looking gun to begin with. So now I had a lot of fun kind of doing some aftermarket accessories. You can go to M-Carbo. That's M-C-A-R-B-O. They do a whole lot of KEL TEC upgrades. And in this case, just for shits and giggles, for no other reason than I thought it looked really fucking cool. Now, mind you, okay, this is empty, so don't freak out, everybody, as I'm pointing the gun at you, right? You got that breacher barrel, right? So if I'm doing a tactical shotgun and I just want to have fun with it, I'm going to get a breacher barrel so I can bust open doors. If it ever come to that, that would be just a weird scenario, but fuck it, I got it, right? Then you have the little bayonets here at the end. I haven't had issues with the KEL TEC not cycling ammo for me, but many people have. They've had issues with the KSG12 cycling. So if I'm sitting there shooting at a bad guy and I'm not able to get that round through, well, then I gotta stab somebody, right? You gotta do something. You just can't sit there and constantly fiddle with your ammo and say, hey, excuse me, bad guy, excuse me. I'm having some functionality issues. I'll be right back. No. You want to hit him with the breacher barrel, hit him with the bayonets. So I did set this up originally as like, oh my God, if an apocalypse happens, this is my gun, which is totally ridiculous. We know that, you know that, I know that. However, it's a fun gun. It really is. And I put some work into it. And the biggest issue that you're going to have with a KEL TEC gun is whether or not it's actually going to function correctly. Again, they're so hit or miss, but in my case, this was a hit. I love this gun. It's a lot of fun to shoot. It's got a ton of recoil. Keep in mind, small package here, 18.5-inch barrel, 12 gauge. It's going to come back and hit you a little bit, okay? So just keep that in mind. The one upgrade that I do to practically every gun that I'm not doing to this gun would be the trigger. Strangely enough, the trigger is 5 pounds. 5 pounds on a pump action shotgun is actually pretty fun. Strangely enough, 5 pounds, you would think, it's kind of nuts. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at it, right? Here it is. Very little play. There's a little bit of play right there in the beginning, but really where I was surprised with this, given the play beforehand, is the reset. So let's check out the reset. Reset's kind of short, but if you heard what just happened there, it's really clunky. It's a short reset in a 5-pound pool. So really that is your play there. On a pump action, which I don't care how tough the trigger pull is on a pump action, because I normally don't have to worry about it. But that gives you the ability to shoot a little bit quicker given the fact that it's a pump action. Now, the other part of this, you don't want to pussyfoot around and not cock that thing like a man. If you do not pull hard on that pump action, that is where I think people are getting a lot of their feeding issues. You got to pump it like a man, all right? Just don't be a pussy. Relax. You got this. What I can say is a few different things. Any kind of sling setup for this, I'm not a big fan of the single mount sling, but this calls for it, given that it's a very short package and damn near impossible to, you know, have two slings on. And mind you, if you have a pump action and you have two slings, you run the risk of every time you pump of the sling getting in the way of you pumping. So this was really earmarked for a single point sling. So with that, there is an M-Carbo adapter that goes with the gun. I'm a lefty, so I put it on the right side. As a righty, we'll have that option on the other side. It's perfectly fine, but that is my sling mount point of view. If I were to ever have to sling this, keep in mind, I'm probably never going to take this out into the field, so to speak, but if you are, single point mount is probably the way to go. How would I grade this gun? I love it. It's fun. So first and foremost, understand that you're using it for fun. If you bought it for the reasons that I did originally, of it being your go-to primary home defense weapon, then yeah, you want to do some upgrades and you want to train with it. Everything that you ever have, you want to train with. But the more training you do, the more you realize that a pump action isn't really necessarily the way to go in terms of quick target acquisition and being able to shoot in a fast and efficient manner. It is designed for CQB, it is designed for home defense, and it is designed for fun. So if you have all of those and you want to accomplish those, I highly recommend this gun. It's a whole lot of fun, and by the way, you get to tell people you want a gun from the movie John Wick. So have fun with it, knock yourself out, but be weary of having those quality control issues with KEL TEK. They're very nice about taking care of things after the fact, so if you do have issues with yours, you can send it in. You may not see it for a while, but at least they'll take care of it and fine-tune it. In my case, I've been lucky enough to avoid those issues outside of my PMR, which is complete and total garbage. So, would I give the KEL TEK KSG a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Depends on whether or not you got one that functions, but I give it a big thumbs up. Thank you for watching our station. If you're watching on Guns and Blammo, please join us on Username for some political, Hollyweird, and other fun socially relevant commentary. And if you're watching us on Username, be sure to subscribe to Guns and Blammo for, well, guns and some serious blammo. Needless to say, YouTube doesn't take too kindly on our show topics, so please like, share, and subscribe to both stations so we can beat that Nazi algorithm and make the world a better place. If you'd like to support the work that we do and help us put out more awesome content, please click the link below for our subscribe star to make a donation. Thank you, God bless, and see you on the next show.